Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Rose Cottage Acres. It is a kind of breezy day today, so I'm bundled up a little, but it's reaching 40 finally, so that's exciting. We're about midway through April, and I'm out getting some things done here in the garden. And I thought I'd take you along to see how it's going. So this is my main garden. And as you can see, a lot of my beds are covered. We actually had a frost event last night, so I made sure everything was covered up pretty good. But this is my main growing area that I have to work with. The first time I did anything back here at all was last spring, so it is just 1 year old, and I'm still working on getting it all organized. Of course, in the spring, on top of doing everything with the animals, you do spend a lot of time in the garden. And I haven't talked about it too much. I've been so busy I haven't had time to do a video. But we are in mid-April. The last frost date is Monday, I believe, here. And I've got a lot going on, even though I haven't put any tomatoes or anything like that really out because they just die. So fava beans are still doing well. My sad little experiment, I've got like 4 or 5 little onions struggling along through here. But yeah, the fava beans are doing great. You have to plant them in the fall and let them overwinter. And if you see my past videos, you know I had them covered with Agribon to protect them all winter, and they're amazing. They're doing really well. And of course my garlic is doing wonderfully. Alright, so on to the other garden beds. I just planted this bed. The Agribon fabric is wonderful. Off-brands do not work so well. So this is on its 3rd year, and the off-brand is on its 1st month in shredding. But you can see the difference it makes to have this thin layer of protection. Everything's popping up. I've got tons of beet seeding. It's looking amazing. My only lonely little artichoke. All the rest of them succumbed to the winter, but he's doing well. And here I've got some kale, and someone came through and ate some of their little heads off. I don't know who got in there with them, some rotten bugger, but the ones that didn't get gobbled up are doing well. And then all my seedlings are doing beautifully, as you can see. This fabric has already shredded completely on the end once, so I had to pull it down and redo it. I just hope it lasts long enough for me to get all the seedlings started well. And again, Agribon, 3 years old. A few little holes, but not much. It's just amazing how all this stuff holds up. This is Ag 19. It's the lightest weight. I was obsessed by red beets this year. So, more beets. And a weed. You are not welcome, sir. So if you can get weeds as soon as they pop up, you can save yourself a big headache with them going to seed. I don't really worry about some of my weeds though. Dead nettle is a fabulous plant. It's great for so many things. Violets and dandelions. I make violet syrup. I make dandelion jam. I eat dandelion greens. These are leeks. So many leeks. I've got them over there, and then down by my peas. And I ordered them by mistake. I thought I was ordering something else in the onion family, and I don't know what I did. So I usually eat 2 or 3 leeks a year. This year I'm going to eat about 150. That'll be fine. My onions are also covered with fabric. They didn't necessarily need it for their protection at this time of year, but the squirrels right there in those trees were coming down and ripping the poor little fellows up and leaving them lay. So I replanted them
put down the hay and then I cover them to keep them out. Didn't bother the leeks. Squirrels were not interested in ripping up the poor little leeks, just the onions. So I believe I had talked about this the other day. I planted little Marvel peas, dollar store, Baker Creek, as an experiment on, they're about 6 inches apart. And they're both doing pretty well. I think some of the Baker Creek seem to be a little bit taller, but overall they're green, they're healthy, and they're growing. They all sprouted about the same. So I love Baker Creek, and I love that they grow everything so ethically, and I love that they have such an amazing variety of seeds. But if you went to grow a garden this year and you can't afford anything better than the dollar store seeds, you can grow food. Don't let that stop you. These are 4 for $1. These packets at my Dollar Tree. So I just thought it'd be fun to try the experiment, and they're growing and I will have food. So you're not going to get the variety. This is the only brand of peas you're going to get from there. Whereas Baker Creek has about 15 varieties of peas. But if you can't afford anything else, go for it. Now this, last year Baker Creek had kaleidoscope kale, or perennial kale seeds. And I jumped on it and bought them because it's really hard to get kale cuttings for perennial kale. And they are amazing. Now you see some of them did go to seed, so I don't know if they'll end up being true perennials or if they'll be biennials. But I've got some that did not go to seed. So for the price of a packet of seeds, and it's delicious. And we've been eating it nonstop. So definitely recommend these seeds. These were the first early potatoes I put in. And as I said, we had some frost. The tops got a little bit bitten. If you go down, they're okay underneath. So they'll survive. Another Baker Creek find. These are really neat Alpine strawberries that I grew from seed. And they survived the winter and are coming back now. This is just an empty tomato bed. Another thing I did this year was I replaced several of my food crop rows with trees. I had been going to put my food forest over in the other pen, and the animals kept breaking down the fence and eating them, so I'm putting it here. So I've got figs, trees, berries, cornberries at the other end, and then this mound across the back is basically a hedgerow that's full of things that the wildlife will probably get, but I don't mind. And here we have, again, covered with agrivine. It is a little weedy because I don't weed well in here since it's under wraps, but this is my carrots. And if you look, there's pretty many in here. I kind of sprinkled them across. I wasn't really even with my sowing, which is part of the reason I've got so many weeds. I hesitated to weed because I was afraid I was going to weed the wrong thing till they got a little higher. And then I have a few kale coming up in here as well. So I'm not going to really worry about it unless the weeds get really to the point that they're bothering everybody. So that's about it. I've got some guys going to seed here. This is Rocket. And the bees were going at it, so I left it. This is my apricot. I don't think I'm going to get any fruit because of the frost. I think it killed off the blossoms before they could get pollinated. But you can see my little blueberries. These were, gosh, they were $1 or $2 a piece because they were so tiny. So I'm just letting them grow on. This is my apple tree. It's probably going to be a crab apple. I grew it myself from seed. And here I have potato onions. These are really cool. If you guys haven't ever tried a perennial onion, you might want to give them a try. So these, you can see, it's splitting and dividing up, kind of like a hen and chick goes out from the center, from the big mother. So dig them up in the fall, replant, mulch them, let them grow over the winter, and in the spring you have new little onions coming out to be harvested again in the fall. I also have elephant garlic, which kind of, as you can see, it does the same thing. So potentially a perennial garlic. Last year when I had garlic scapes, I put the little seeds in the top, in the ground, and they're all coming up as little garlics. They'll have to grow for a few years to get to any size, but that's okay, I'm not in a rush. I have mixed chard. Chard is a really great green to eat when you have high blood pressure and problems like that, so I try to grow a lot of it. I have so many birds back here, it's really cool. I put some nest boxes up, but I want to put up more because the more birds I have, the less bugs I'll have. Now this is my greenhouse. If you've been on a garden tour before, you've seen it. It's very tiny. Just this little space. But it really kept me in greens through most of the early spring. Now things are bolting. I already pulled out almost all of my turnips. And this is arugula that's going to seed, but it's my favorite kind. So I'm hoping to actually save the seeds from it. And I've got two kinds of lettuce. And as you can see, the spinach really is bolting, so I think it's over. So I'll plant a couple warm weather crops in here. But basically, this thing stayed through some really harsh windstorms. I put these cement blocks as well as the anchors kit, and so far so good. This is for squash, like zucchini, not winter squash. The winter squash is going over there. I don't know if you can see the cardboard. So that's winter squash and corn. It's very important to plant zinnias, sunflowers, other flowers to pull in pollinators to your garden. So sometimes I leave things go to seed like this. I did pick a lot of these heads off at first. It tastes like broccoli. So if you're without broccoli and your kale goes to seed, you get these little pieces like this that haven't gone to opened up yet. So you want them at that stage, not quite open. When you eat them, they taste like broccoli. Taking a look at last year's garden, which, like I said, I'm deassembling. I do have some really nice purple sprouting broccoli coming up. But that was Brussels sprouts and they just went to seed. Dollar store planter update. They are doing so well. Look at that Mizuno mustard. And that beautiful, beautiful bunch of spinach coming up there. This one, for whatever reason, only had 1 or 2 mustards come up in it, but everything else is doing really well. So I'm very excited about that. This is just alliums because I love them. And then a couple other flowers. And then this is my potato peel experiment. I'm keeping it moist. Haven't seen any sign of life yet. But it's early and it's cold, so we'll just keep waiting and see what happens. The boys are happy in their outdoor hutches. Hey, hen. Hey, hen. Where you going? It's so nice to have my smelly boys outside. They smell so bad, but they're so cute. This is my sweet Henry. This is a redbud tree, and oh my goodness, look how beautiful it is.
So pretty much that's it. I just wanted to give you an update of the garden and what I've been doing and show you how beautiful my tree is. Hope you all have a blessed day.